What's your most underrated or overrated place you've been to?
Oh gosh, there must be so many places. But quite recently, I was doing a talk on a cruise, which I really enjoyed, way more than I thought I would. And we stopped off in Pisa. And I went to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which I had always heard about. Everyone's always heard about it.
Seen the picture.
Seen the picture. But when you go there and you see it in real life, it is quite spectacular. Yes. And you're looking at it and it's so large and it is so leaning. And it was so much more impressive than I had visualized myself. So I would definitely recommend people went to see it. But the funny thing was, I mean, this is how naive I am. I just thought, I went with my friend Fiona and I just sort of said, oh, let's go and see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, thinking it was just sort of going to be on a piece of parkland and be quite open and spacious and everything. Of course, when you get there, there's thousands of people that want to see it. So it's quite packed and crowded. And you have to kind of wait your turn to try and get a gap to be able to get the picture and see what it really looks like. But it is right there in front of you and it's extraordinary. Have you seen it?
No, I've only seen it in pictures and I've been to Pisa, not Pisa, but you know, Tuscany and all around, but I've never actually gone into Pisa to see it. I will do so.
No, you must do
Absolutely.
it. It's I just can't even explain it. It's extraordinary.
How lovely. And what cruise were you on?
I was on Cunard and Queen Anne, and I did another one very recently, Queen Victoria, where I went to Split and travelled through. And I've now decided that cruises are actually really fun. I get it now.
Yeah.
And they're so well organised, and they have, you know, I do my talks in the theatre, but the theatre is like going to the West End Theatre. I mean, it's
really? So it's like a proper theatre?
Oh, it's like huge and very ornate and beautiful velvet seats. And also what I like is that, you know, I go and watch everybody else speak or dance or sing. And I went to watch an amazing pianist called Dominic Ferris the other day, who was extraordinary. I mean, it was just breathtaking, his performance. So I quite like going to watch other people.
What do you talk about?
Well, I talk about, I always say to people when you watch Wimbledon, you know, it's like watching the glamour side of the sport. And of course, we have 4 Grand Slams in our sport, which is Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon and US Open. So when you're watching those Grand Slams, you're seeing the pinnacle. But what you don't know is what it took somebody from age 9, which I was when I picked up a racket, that journey and what I call the apprenticeship that gets you to Wimbledon. So I sort of take people on that journey because I think it's quite an eye-opener to see it's not the glamour side of it. It's all the kind of background and traveling around on red eyes and Greyhound buses across America and, you know, staying in strange places and not the very unglamorous side.
And then a lot of people don't even get to the
pinnacle.
Don't even get
there. Exactly. They don't even
Yeah.
make it to the tournament. So it's sort of trying to open people's eyes to what you're watching when you are watching these tournaments is, you know, give you an insight into actually what those players have all been through to get there. And then as you've mentioned already, when I stopped when I was 21 and moving into broadcasting, I'll just tell people a few stories about broadcasting and some of the funny things that have gone on and then how that led me to Strictly Come Dancing, which was such a wonderful show to be a part of. So I just like to take people on a bit of a journey, really, and throw a few stories around.
Have you actually ever written a book about your life?
No, I haven't. For my speaking tour, we've produced a kind of a
pamphlet.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like a small little book, but it's got archive of, you know, lots of press cuttings and photographs and kind of my journey along the way. So we've kind of put that together with the tour. And actually, when I put it together, it was quite strange for me kind of going up into the attic and just laying out and what was my life, you know, in front of me over all these years. And it was quite strange doing that and putting that together. But maybe one day I may or may not do a book. I don't know. I'll see.
Everyone
how it
has
goes.
a book in them, apparently.
That's what I always say that to other people, actually. So, yeah. You've done a book.
I have. But
and did you enjoy doing it?
I did. It was really fun. Really fun. But I think yours would be much more interesting.
Oh, I'm sure it wouldn't.
And actually, before we started this podcast, you showed me an amazing letter that you found recently that you wrote yourself about things you wanted to achieve. So just tell us quickly about that.
Yeah. My mum gave it to me and she'd found this essay that I wrote when I was 11. And it was, the title for all of the pupils was, "What Would I Like to Do?" And when I reread this letter that I'd written, it was, I would like to play tennis and I'd like to travel all around the world playing tournaments and I'd like to win a cup at Wimbledon. but I'd also like to dance on stage. And I was looking at it thinking, this is extraordinary. I had no idea I'd written this. But I obviously had it all mapped out in my head, what I wanted to do when I was older.
Your visualization, your vision board.
Yeah,
amazing.
It was amazing reading it. And actually, when I do my speaking tour, the gentleman called James Cutler, who's going to interview me, he is a ballroom dancer and he won at Blackpool. But I think after I read that letter, I thought, oh, that gives us a reason to dance together, because I miss the dancing, actually.
I bet you do.
I loved it so much. And, I think that letter gives us a reason to just do a couple of numbers. Otherwise, I think for people coming to a theatre, a speaking tour, you want to see something maybe a bit more than just two people sitting in chairs. So we're gonna dance a bit. So,
lovely. Did you actually keep your dancing up?
I did for a period of time, because Johannes Radebe, who I danced with on Strictly, asked me to dance with him at the Palladium. Oh, and I thought, and he had his own tour, and he wrote a dance for me in his show. And I was so honoured that he asked me to do that. And I just thought, when would I ever get another chance to dance? Well, certainly with him, but at the Palladium, it would just be once in a lifetime opportunity. So I did dance with him, and I absolutely loved it.
How wonderful.
No, it was really wonderful. So we did that. And actually, I think it's one of the most amazing things I've ever done in my life, actually, when I look back. Just the atmosphere in the theatre.
I wish I'd come to see that. That sounds amazing.
Well, it was amazing. And to be in that theatre and with him on stage, and then receiving the reception that we got, and just the feelings of being on stage in that environment, it was unbelievable. So I don't think it will ever be repeated again, actually.
And he's from South Africa, isn't he?
Yes.
So I think you need to do a tour of South Africa with him. He'd be the best person to show you around, wouldn't he?
Yes, he would. I mean, I'm just so admiring of his story, because he came from a township, and I know I've read his book, and I actually used to say to him, you're like Novak Djokovic, because his detail towards his own dancing and his own career. And I admire his journey from going from a township onto a cruise. And of course, when I was doing the cruise recently, I was like, oh, wow, this is what Johannes did for 7 years before he got an opportunity to dance on Strictly. And I just think it's incredible what he's done. Yeah. But South Africa is a place I did play tennis in. And actually it was, I went to Johannesburg and Durban. I played in 2 tournaments there, and those 2 tournaments actually lifted my ranking. So I look back on it as a place that really moved my career on. And so I went back quite recently with the family to visit, and it was amazing. I went to Cape Town, which I'd never been to before. And actually that was one of the venues I was going to talk about, because it was just so spectacular, Table Mountain. And I think it was more spectacular than I could. Have you been there?
Yes, I love
you
South
would understand
Africa.
it. Yeah.
It's amazing.
I thought Cape Town, well, we went as a family. It was the most amazing holiday, and it more than lived up to expectations. And we all climbed Table Mountain, which is quite a hike. I mean, I
haven't done.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you need some stamina and you need to be strong, and it's exhausting, but it's so worth it when you get up there. And we went sort of quite late in the day when the sun was just coming down. It was just starting to set, but also it was less hot then. But when we got up there, I mean, it was like, I can only imagine it's what heaven looks like. Because we got there and the clouds were pouring over the side of the mountain, and they're like, it's like a tablecloth just dripping over the side. And it was just breathtaking. And of course I don't know how to describe it. It was like heaven. And more spectacular scenery, and you're looking out over the whole of the vista.
Where did you stay in Cape Town?
We rented a place out there, and we just had a house that was quite near the water, and we just loved it. Yeah, we stayed near Camps Bay, but it was a spectacular holiday. And
did Johannes give you any tips whilst you were in South Africa or in Cape Town, where to go and what to do?
I spoke to him when we were out there, and he was sort of like, oh, my heart is, feeling it. He just loves his country so much. And he definitely gave us lots of tips along the way. But I think he loves his home country. So I can understand why. I can understand why people fall in love with it.